What's going on, everybody? Today we are going to settle a debate between which is a better stat, shooting or technique. Both shooting and technique will contribute into your ability to score goals. Shooting is going to increase your ball speed as the ball travels towards the net, and technique is going to make it so that you can hit wider shots and have more curve on the ball to get around the boom boom. But a lot of people are saying that shooting doesn't matter and you just need technique. And some people are saying that technique doesn't matter and you just need shooting. So which one is actually going to cause you to score more goals, or do you actually just need a combination of both? This is what we're going to find out today. I'm going to start out by playing as Bowser with a maximum shooting stat. As you can see, Bowser has 17 shooting already, and he only has 9 technique. For shooting, we are going to have to max out every single thing we can. This is going to give him 25 shooting and 7 technique. For each character that I test, I'm going to be shooting on goal 100 times. 50 of those times are going to be charge shots from the midfield, and the rest of the 50 shots are going to be miscellaneous around the field, including uncharged shots to get a more variable comparison. If you are watching this, I'm sure you already have an idea of how these stats are going to affect our goals, but honestly, the results that I got were shocking. Maximum shooting Bowser, as you can imagine, absolutely killed it in the midfield charge test. Of the 50 shots taken, he hit 22 of them for a total shot percentage of 44%. For the rest of the 50 shots, I used the following areas: 10 shots from the baseline, 10 charged shots from the front of the crease, 10 uncharged shots from the front of the crease, 10 uncharged shots from the midfield, and 10 uncharged shots from the side. Of these 50 miscellaneous locations, Bowser made 14 of them for a total shot percentage of 28%. That means his overall shot percentage for all 100 shots is 36%. Moving on to maximum technique, the character who is best for this is Luigi. Unfortunately, he has 10 shooting instead of 9, but this is the best we can get. Now we just have to throw on some gear to give him 25 technique and 8 shooting. Now we just have to replicate the same test I just did with Bowser by playing against myself and shooting 100 times. As you can imagine, Luigi has some absolutely nutty curves on his shots. It does not seem to matter at all that the ball is traveling so slowly, because the ball just goes all the way around the goalie. Despite having only 8 shooting, Luigi was able to hit 21 of his 50 charge shots from midfield. That's only one less than full shooting Bowser. I will also say that technique relies heavily on how I angle the joystick to get a different curve. There are some curves that hit differently depending on where you are on the field, but for this test, I held pretty much every direction equally. On the variety test, Luigi actually outperformed Bowser by 2 goals for a total of 16 out of 50 scored. Neither character really had any advantage over scoring at any position, though I will say if you are right in front of the crease and you do a full charge shot and you miss, then you are allowed to call the cops because that's a robbery. That is just so unlikely. Just out of the sake of curiosity, I want to see how much shooting and technique together will matter compared to one or the other. So now I'm choosing Rosalina with an even spread of maximum shooting and technique. I don't even know why this part was relevant because you already know what the results were. Rosalina is an absolute monster. In the midfield test, Rosalina scored 26 of her 50 shots for a total percentage of 52%. I'm sorry, but for one character to have one opening and have a 50% chance of scoring a goal is just disgusting. Needless to say, if your opponent has a Rosalina on their team, do not, under any circumstances, leave her alone. In the variety test, she was also significantly better than either of the other two. All across the field, she took 50 shots, some of them were uncharged, and still made 22 of them. The most surprising factor was her ability to make uncharged shots from in front of the crease, meaning that even if she has an opening, all she has to do is just tap the A button and probably will make a lot more goals than most characters. Out of all 100 shots taken, Rosalina had a total of 48% shots made. To finish off this test, I am actually going to try having none of shooting or technique, and the best way to do that is to pick Toad, as his bare minimum is 22. So here we are with a 7 shooting and 7 technique. Theoretically, Toad should score 0 goals, right? Let's find out. And, yeah. Toad is not the best at shooting. Let's do a quick recap of all of the character stats so far from midfield. Bowser scored 22 goals out of 50 from midfield. Luigi scored 21 goals from midfield. Rosalina scored 26. and Toad got 6. Life wasn't much better in the variety test. He was able to get a couple of goals from a charge shot in front of the crease, but in total, he only scored 10 out of 50 goals. So let's wrap this up with a couple of final thoughts. You can absolutely get away with only maxing technique or only maxing shooting. Neither one is better than the other. If you are going to choose one, it is entirely going to depend on what role needs to be led on your team. If you need a powerful forward, you may consider having Bowser, but if you need a technical playmaker, you might want to consider having Luigi. One thing is for certain though, it makes a huge difference if you decide to max both of them, such as on Rosalina or Mario. But perhaps the most important takeaway from this video is that if you decide to run a character that does not have either shooting or technique, do not, under any circumstances, take any shots with that character. Even if the shot is perfectly set up, you are probably not going to score. One thing left to uncover that's not checked in this video is the optimization. Obviously, you do not need to have 25 in either shooting or technique. There's probably some lesser version that people will find out in the future. Anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. If you have any other comments or would like me to test one more thing, then leave them in the comments below.